tw- Steve, the points off turnovers tonight for the Spurs in this game, they got 13 turnovers, 8 steals against OKC, and they got 26 points off of those 13 turnovers. So that means the equivalent of a 2-point bucket for every single OKC Thunder turnover. That is brutally efficient. That is punishing. And the Spurs only gave up 4 total turnovers and 2 points off of them. So that's where the Spurs won this game right here, is taking care of the ball and forcing Oklahoma City to give it up. Their defenders are just a whole bunch of dudes, man. Long arms, springy, freaky athletic, love playing defense with each other. And so these guys together are a really disruptive defensive unit, and that allows them to get out in transition and wreak havoc. When the shots weren't falling, they kept attacking the rim, getting to the free throw line. Lonnie, Keldon, even Dejounte in the early going there. They just kept at it. The vets hit big shots. Patty and Rudy hit some easy shots and some tough ones in this game. It seemed like the Spurs executed well on offense, just didn't hit the shots. And then the plays where they didn't execute their 0.5 second decision offense, ball wound up in Rudy Gay's hands, and he made an isolation play, and the ball went in the hole. And so the Spurs got tough baskets from all 3 of their vets who played tonight in the absence of DeRozan. And Lonnie Walker stepped up, man. He had 24 points after leading the Spurs with 25 yesterday, leads the team with 24 tonight in DeRozan's absence. And after the game, Pop basically said the entire coaching staff is reminding him to assert himself, reminding him how good he is, and that he shouldn't be taking any prisoners. He shouldn't be feeling bad about seeking out his own shot. And the Spurs are on a different level when he's making plays like that and attacking. We do need to talk a little bit about Dejounte in this game because, like we said, early struggles, indicative of the team's early struggles. But down the stretch in that high pick and roll, Keldon mentioned not only is he running the play, but he's pushing the pace, and then he's getting everybody in their spots. He's directing traffic. He's making sure everybody's where they're supposed to be. And he credits Dejounte with the lack of team turnovers. Said it all starts with him, basically. So down the stretch, he continues attacking despite not hitting a lot of shots in the early going. He continues to get to the line and create scoring opportunities for his teammates. And the Spurs won the game because of that. I don't think that's an exaggeration to say that he was the steady hand that guided them to the win in this one. And it shows a lot of growth from even the Minnesota game, where Patty Mills noted that once the shots weren't falling, they sped things up. And in this game, shots weren't falling, they slow things down. And Dejounte made a ton of great reads. He hit 4 big free throws. The first 2 were the biggest to really put the game out of reach in the end there. But one guy that I really want to talk about is Devin Vassell, who finished individual plus minus isn't the best stat, obviously, but he finished this game plus 20 in 22 minutes. Only had 2 points, shot 0 of 5 from the floor, but he had 7 boards, 2 assists, a steal, team high plus 20. And I asked Coach Pop about, what does he do on the court that doesn't show up in the stat sheet? And he basically said that he's just a really smart, good basketball player, knows exactly where to be, what to do. And so he's that guy that makes whatever play needs to be made. And when his shot starts falling, he's going to be immensely better. That's the main reason he's in the league is his shooting and his defense. And he's been okay shooting the ball, but he'll have games like this where it's just not falling. He's basically the 9th man in a 9-man rotation. And but he's still learning and growing, and the units with him out there with Dejounte and Lonnie and Keldon, and all those long arms creating havoc in passing lanes. That's so much fun to watch. I really love watching this team play defense. So, and then we should talk about Trey Lyles as well. Started this game, played 18 minutes, 6 points. Started 0-3, and I think he was really making the shots a little more difficult than they needed to be for him. He was fading a little bit. He was leaning. When he just goes straight up for the shot, he should trust it because he's a decent shooter. And he wound up knocking down a 3, getting a layup from Lonnie in transition. He's a good defender, too. He's grown as a defender. So especially with DeMar out, it makes sense for him to reprise his role that he played last year as the starting 4 and bringing that floor spacing and the ability to defend multiple positions. Keldon, 18 points tonight on 6 of 11, 7 rebounds, 2 steals. He was getting after it. There were times when the offense was stalling and he was just getting to the rim, attacking. His just unrelenting assault on the rim, and whoever stands between him and it continues this season. He's been really great. And defensively, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, great player, rising star, held just a little bit below his scoring average with 20 points. But the Spurs really limited him as an assist man. He came in averaging 7, only had 2. Keldon versus Dort. That was fun to watch. Those are two guys who are built out of bowling balls, it seems, and just huge, massive, freaky dudes watching them go back and forth was fun in this game. The Spurs wound up tightening up on defense and, executing enough on offense to get open shots, continue getting open shots, and, trusting that they would hit them. So, strong down the stretch in this game for Dejounte and for the Spurs, and, another really good win for them that pushes them to now 500, or over 500. Going forward, this team still has stuff to work on, right? But their execution has been pretty consistent. The only inconsistency really has been hitting shots, and that's something that Dejounte said after the game, right? You're not always going to hit shots. Makes and misses come with the game. Can execute an offensive play perfectly, and the shot doesn't go in. You can execute it horribly and have the ball go in the hole. And something that this Spurs team is doing a lot better job of is not getting down when that happens to them. So the next game is against the Rockets, and judging by some of the comments in here, James Harden is currently saying things in a post game, so that must be interesting. The Rockets are oh wow. Okay, so from James Harden, says the Rockets are, quote, just not good enough. I love this city. I literally have done everything that I can. I mean, this situation is crazy. It's something that I don't think can be fixed. So, just a smidge of disarray in Houston as the Spurs get them for a back-to-back set here. Could be a good opportunity for them to, attack that team while they got a lot going on. But in any case, I think the main thing that this Spurs team proved on this road trip is that they can compete with anybody if they lock in. That's all there is to it. That's what I expected this team to be coming into the year. Even with the injuries to Derek White, even with DeMar DeRozan not being there, this is a team that plays really solid all-around basketball. They look modern. Lamarcus Aldridge, as a complementary player, he's averaging less than 5 post-up touches a game this season. And there was one possession tonight where I counted him hit 6 screens. And that's basically what it should be for the Spurs team. Unless he has a matchup he can abuse in the post, he should absolutely be setting screens, dribble handoffs, finding guys, getting guys open, getting to dirty spots where he can catch and shoot, catch and score. But when he plays like that, it creates the opportunity for a lot of different guys to benefit from that. And you saw it tonight with 6 Spurs in double figures. Far from the first time that's happened this season. And I think Lonnie was the 7th Spur to lead the team in scoring when he did it in the Minnesota game. Yeah, Steve, 14 and 6, but like, because of the way he's playing, he's not slowing anything down. That was the biggest fear for a lot of Spurs fans coming into this season, right? The bubble was so fast, the bubble was so good. Will LaMarcus Aldridge just slow everything down and mess this up? And the answer to that question through the first 11 games has been a very emphatic no. He's bought in, he's shooting that 3, he is spacing the floor and giving these guys room and license to operate. And he's been tremendous in that role. And still getting his, you know? Like he's still scoring. He still needs to improve his 3-point shot, but like he has been in the last couple games. And you know, he's shown last year that he has the ability to knock that down at close to a 40% clip. So really the most important thing, even if he's not hitting the shot, is just that he's taking the right ones. And he absolutely has been taking the right ones here for the Spurs team. And it's fun to watch. They play a really fun, really competitive style of basketball. And they play for each other, right? They move the ball around. They take care of the ball. And they have a bunch of different ways that they can break down the defense. So Aldridge has been an important part of that. Their record with him in the game improves again. Believe they are now... Yeah, they're 6-2 with him in the lineup. 6-1 if you don't count that New Orleans game where he scored 4 points because he was dealing with that sore knee. So, I mean, what does that tell you about the importance of his role, right? It's certainly not the only factor, but what he brings offensively, even though he's not the, you know, dominant post-up big that he was known as being, he is impacting the game really efficiently in a different way now. And that's led to Spurs wins. It'd be one thing if it's like, oh, he's playing well, but he's missing shots and they're losing. He's playing well, he's missing a bunch of shots, and they're winning. And I can only assume that his shooting is going to improve and get more consistent. Yeah, Maria, it is really all about defensive effort, right? And that's something that these guys have talked about, have harped on, is that if they're solid defensively, it creates opportunities for them to attack against a defense that's not set. And this team is incredibly dangerous attacking that way. So, you know, it's one of those things where if they lock in on that end, they'll get a whole lot of easy points on the other end. And we saw it tonight, 26 points off of turnovers. 2 comments here that I think are somewhat related. Any Spur that I feel isn't playing better than last year, and anyone else think Yak has been disappointing. Jakob Poeltl has not had a great start to the season. I like his game. I think he's a really good, really impactful player. But in these first 11 games, he has not shown the growth that I was hoping to see from him in the summer after it became pretty clear in the bubble what he needs to work on in his role, right? I don't need him, posting up or shooting threes. I don't need to see that. What I need to see from him is standing up straight. He's 7'1" and he walks around like a guy who's just banged his head on so many door frames. He's like hunched over. He looks like uncomfortable in his huge body, almost. And it really comes out on those attempts near the basket where there's nobody in his way, but he just goes up soft. And it's like, why do you do that? If I was 7'1", I would dunk basketballs for my whole life. I wouldn't do anything else. You would not be able to get me off a basketball court and stop me from jumping like 6 inches off the ground and cramming it in the hole. And there was one tonight where there was nobody in his way. He laid it up soft off the glass and it was almost blocked. Like it almost didn't go. So, there really should be no softness to his game inside the restricted area on either ends of the court. And there's been entirely too much. I don't expect an exterior game from him. But what I do expect is I expect him to block shots and get rebounds and set hard screens and finish rolls aggressively. If he can show a little bit more power at the rim, not just because I love seeing dunks and dunks are fun. Dunks are effective. It's almost a guaranteed shot if you just take the ball with two hands and then put it through the top of the hoop. Many are saying an effective type of shot. And we talked about it a ton in the bubble. And I feel you, Rob. I feel like he doesn't realize how good he is. We were talking about the coaching staff reminding Lonnie not to take any prisoners. Coaching staff also needs to remind Jakob Poeltl that he's 7'1" and pretty jacked and good. So that's something that is an area for improvement. With the Spurs team, I would love to see more out of Jakob Poeltl, especially, if they're considering letting Lamarcus Aldridge go and moving on with Jakob Poeltl as the starting center in years to come. He's going to need to show more than he's shown in these past 11 games. Still effective in spots, still does certain things very well. But he needs to do a little bit more with his body. But even though he hasn't, the Spurs have been winning games and playing well. They seriously outperformed expectations to get to 6-5. They were only favored in 3 of those games, and they've won 6 total. And they actually lost one of the games that they were favored in against Minnesota. But the Minnesota loss really doesn't concern me, guys. That's the great thing about what these Spurs have done so far this season is all of their losses have easy explanations, and all of their wins, not all of them, but a good chunk of their wins are like, wow, that's like a really quality win. The wins have been quality, and the losses have been excusable and understandable. When you're playing without DeMar, who gave you 38 points the night before, when you're playing against a Minnesota team who got a huge emotional boost from Karl Anthony Towns coming back with a left hand that didn't work to give his team a boost because he was tired of them getting their butts kicked and they lost 6 in a row with him out. They get a huge boost from him. They get an outlier shooting night. They almost win and lose in overtime. Next game, they're like, well, we're not going to lose 8 straight. We're darn sure not going to lose 8 straight. They came out very motivated. Sure, they didn't have Cat in that game, but the Timberwolves aren't going to lose every game, and the Spurs aren't going to win every game that they're favored in. especially not on the second night of a back-to-back, right? This was the second game of a back-to-back that we've seen the Spurs play. And for the second time, their shots didn't fall because their legs weren't great. And they lost. The first Minnesota game looked like, two teams battling it out, playing great basketball, and somebody has to lose. Second game looked like two teams who were tired from battling the night before, and somebody had to win. So the Spurs are going to move forward, and I know from talking to them that they feel like they're moving in the right direction. So, should be a fun couple games here with the Rockets. We'll see what's going on with Sir James Harden there. But, yeah, thank you guys for hanging out. Good talking to you. This has been a live edition of the Big Fun postgame show on my personal account. We're trying to figure out why we're having trouble doing it from the Big Fun Pod account. But try to do as many of these as I can. Jacob Becky is in the coronavirus protocols, or the health and safety protocols. So no extra information there, but she, Drew Eubanks, and one other staff member on the team are, quarantining and away from the team. But yeah, thank you guys for hanging out. Good to see you. And as always, go Spurs go. See you next time.